Hey, how's it going? Today I'm going to show you how we go about uncovering the boat, covering the boat, getting the bimini top up and then back down, and just a couple basic things on where things are on the boat. For the most part, you should be able to do all of this with one person as far as uncovering it, covering it. You will need two people most easily to get the bimini up and down, so I'll show you that. But it all starts with taking these snaps off. So I usually don't worry about putting the snaps on the front here, but I like to get the snaps down at least in the corners. So when you're taking the cover off, I basically start there on the front corners. Then you just kind of run along here and get all these snaps off. And once you get to this door here, you just kind of lift up the door, push it in, and then I like to walk in here and start to get all the snaps off of the other side as well. So kind of put your foot over here, make sure you keep one foot on the inside so you don't fall in the water. A couple more snaps over here, and then what I like to do is I like to start rolling it up from this point. So as we go, I'm rolling the cover up. You've got these 4 poles on the inside. So as you go, I take these poles out. You basically got 2 short ones on the 2 ends, and then you got the 2 tall ones in the middle. So I kind of like to keep them in order as we go. So I'll keep that short one there, and then I'll put the 2 tall ones next in order, and then the short one. You can leave those on the boat here, or you can put those on the shore. So we just go along here, we unsnap everything. Keep rolling. Got another one of these poles. So I'll put one of those down there again. We're still rolling on the way. Obviously this would go a little bit faster if you got 2 people, but just wanted to show that it can be done with one. And there's a couple snaps over here by the windshield that you'll notice they're a little bit bent, so you don't have to, you can show them if you want, but they don't really snap up. So there's a couple snaps along the way when you're putting the snaps back on. Don't worry about it too much, because it's fine. So here we are to the back. We'll get the last pole here. And then I'm going to show you a little bit of a shortcut that I like to do. So it's less work if you don't mind having this cover up here on the back as you're going. So basically, as long as you uncover the boat enough to where you can get to this back door, because this is where your ladder is, I'll keep this snap on back here, so that way you have a little bit less work to do. So for the purpose of today, I'm just gonna leave this here. So you can just kind of tuck this up here. It'd be fine, it's not gonna go anywhere. You still got all your seating that you can have. If you do wanna take the cover fully off, you can finish undoing the snaps. You'll just wanna know that once you put the cover away, when you go to cover the boat again, it's important that you start with the back. So you're gonna see this back corner piece here. If you do take the cover fully off, when you go to put the cover back on, you're going to want to start with that back corner. Snap all that first and then come away from here. A couple things real quick. So the ignition is here. So this has to be clipped on to this right here. It's a little safety, so that should be on there, but just make sure that this is clipped around this piece right here. So yeah, so it starts right here, you just turn it on, starts right up. The trim does not go up or down on this, so I made a note of that inside the directions. Everything should be fine, but you're just going to want to be wary of some of the areas where you take the boat, stay in the big open areas. You push forward for your accelerator to go forward, you pull it back to go in reverse. This is your neutral position. You always want to turn it off. You're also going to want to make sure that all of your lights and power things are off here, or else you will run the battery down. So just make sure everything is in the off position when you are getting done there. You've got 2 anchors. So there's an anchor here. Most of the places where you should tie up on the lake or you go swimming, like in the swim hole, which is noted in the binder, I like to put 2 anchors in, especially if it's a windy day. So there's one here. There's about 25 feet of rope on there. Most of the areas are 20 feet, so you should be fine there. And then there's another anchor up here in the front, along with a few little floaties. So, oh, it's actually right there at the moment. You can leave it there, or you can put it in there. We got some floaties in here. And then over here is where all your life jackets are. So that's all your emergency life jackets. And right now we're going to show you putting up the bimini top. So this is the part where it's a two-person job. So I'm going to have my assistant here help with that. So what we're going to do here is we're going to remove this cover. So after you're done with it, when you're done with the boat for the end of the trip, you should put this cover back on and put the bimini cover back on. So you've got two zippers here in the middle, is where they come unhinged. So the zippers start over here when it's on there. So you can do this by standing on the back of the boat. It's kind of a shallow area, but if you kind of hang on and watch your footing, you should be fine. So you can take this off. Put that wherever, put that on the shore or on the boat if you're already out on the boat. And then I'm gonna come back on here. This is where it's kind of a two-person job. So we've got one hook that's gonna go into place over here. There's not a hook on this side. So what Weston and I are gonna do, we're gonna pull this up into place. So pretty easy, you just kind of let this fall where it goes. And then you've got these two poles that are gonna basically rest in this area here to hold you up. So there's that one there, and then West, you got that in the other spot there. Oh, we gotta uncover a little bit. Looks like we got it covered a little bit more. Yep. There you go. So go ahead and show where that's in that other spot. And then over here is one of the hooks. So go ahead and get this shot over here, Max. So basically, you got this little U channel here. There's a little lever here that kind of goes up and down. So you want to push up on that, and then it goes over this little clip, and it just locks right in. So that should be plenty of what you need to do to have this going. I will say on a windy day, it can act like a sail. Maybe that's not surprising, but it will be harder to stay in one place if you're anchored somewhere. And now we're going to take it back down. So you start here by lifting up on the switch again and pushing forward. And then you would pull out on this little section here, pull that up towards there, and then just kind of guide it back into place. You want to make sure that these all kind of fall in order. These little pulls. And then that is it. My assistant is done with his job. Nice job, sir. And then I'll show you how to put that cover back on the bimini top. So basically just do the reverse of what you did before. Kind of got to put everything back inside. So yeah, it's not too bad once you've done it a couple times. If you just want a real easy day, you might not want to mess with this. But if you're going to be out in the sun all day, it's not a bad idea to put it up. So we got the zipper there. For the most part, we got everything tucked in. And there we go. I won't do that fully until I get this other side handled. Make sure I kind of got everything aligned where it needs to be. So that fits right over there. Pull this under. Okay, we're in pretty good shape here, so we'll find the zipper spot and just kind of make sure this is all tucked in along the way. Not too bad. And if that doesn't go all the way, it's not the end of the world. The other side here. All right. one more thing before we put the cover back on. Well, two more things. So we have a couple of these buoys that are hooked on with these. So you don't want to lose these. So when you are moving the boat along, you'll want to make sure you pick these up, put them inside the boat. These are good for when you're tying up with somebody else or when you get back to the dock. If you don't want to just lay them inside the boat, you can put them in this little compartment here. It's kind of made for that. So you can put your buoy right in there. So make sure that a couple of these that have these hooks on them are not outside the boat when you're moving. And then the last thing, we don't recommend going out at dusk because it's one of the most dangerous times for boating. But if you do find yourself out, we do have this light here. So, oh, came off there. So you'll want to make sure that this is attached. It's a little finicky there, but this needs to be attached to the back here. So all you want to do is make sure that it's lit up, and then you can just screw it on one of these areas here. Then you've got your required light, and then you've got your red-green lights for your left and right that are up there on your switchboard. So in case you find yourselves needing to make it home, there's a little button on the bottom here. Okay, and now we're going to put the cover back on. And at this time, you want your poles off of the boat. So again, I kind of like to keep mine in order here, because in order to get the cover on, the easiest way to do it is to snap it all first, and then you're going to crawl back under this door and put the poles back up. So I'm probably not going to make you go through that, but after I snap it all up, I'll kind of show you how I go in there. And then basically just in reverse, you take the end of that pole and you just kind of stick it up in there. If you get them all in the right spot, the short, short, long, long, it should go right into place and hold the boat up. So we're going to cover it, show you kind of how easy that is. Again, this can also be done with two people. Sometimes if you got another person, you can have somebody starting on that side, but actually not too bad. You can get it done in like 2 or 3 minutes or so. Over here is where those two snaps are that are kind of dented in, so I'll show you. I basically just kind of sit here at this point, and then this one right here is the next one that is kind of able to go, so it's not the end of the world if you can't get a couple of those snaps. So just keep going here. Okay, go ahead and get this over here real quick, so I'll just show you how. Again, I like to get these. How do I do it? There's two snaps over here on the side, so I like to get those two there, and then maybe 1 or 2 here in the front. So I just like to again straddle the boat, make sure you don't fall in. That. That one. Couple ones at front. We do ask that you cover it every day because the sun can really ruin the seats if it's left uncovered for any period of time. So please make sure it's covered after every day. All right. And then same as the other side here, we'll just kind of grab this one here in the front, This is probably pretty obvious, but you can use these hooks to dock at some place where you go to dock. If you go to North Shore for ice cream, or if you go to Cancun to get something to eat, it's nice to, I like to just take this hook off of the dock area and then just kind of lay it up here, or you can hook it into this other cleat. Obviously some damage here, not worried about that. Hook up these other couple here, and then we just go along the side. And you'll want to leave this one unbuttoned. That's the side door, and that's where we're going to crawl in here to put up the poles at the end. Yeah, I'm not too worried about these ones here. Okay, so there we go. So now I'm just going to be crawling into that hole. I got these in my order. So I got small there, the two long ones in the middle, and the short one again. I'm just gonna go over there and kind of pry those up. Actually, you know what? I'll just do it real quick here. Kind of see what that looks like when we go. There we go. Oh, you're right in here, huh? Okay. Just got this couple in the front. And second short one here. All right, there we go. So now I like to come back out here, and then you can close that door. Put that final snap on there. We're all set. So thanks, hope you learned something. Have fun. See ya.